Live. And hey, everybody, this is Cameron Marceau with another MyFriendsAreAwesome.com. Live. I mean, this is live. If you go to YouTube right now, wherever I'm pointing, somewhere where YouTube is, you can see this and view it as it's happening. But most people just catch it later when we post it on Facebook. And we've been going through many people. And when I say we, I'm talking about my good friend Sridhar Yedavali.
Hello, I'm right over here. How's it going?
We are talking to mutual friends of ours, mutual Facebook friends. And tonight's special guest is, we're going international.
Yeah, this is exciting.
That's right, totally international. We're going to talk with Chaminda Rajapakse.
Chummy.
And
Hello.
Better known as Chummy from the old days. What I have to know, Chummy, where are you right now?
What am I?
Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in Colombo.
Okay, where is that?
In Sri Lanka. I'm in Sri Lanka right now.
Oh, okay.
Working for my office is in Pretoria, South Africa. So that's why I've got plenty of time, because these guys are 4 hours ahead of us, so I don't have to really start working until they come online.
Oh, okay. So your office is in South Africa, but you're working in Sri Lanka. Wow. Okay. So what are you doing now?
I work as a this is a funny one, but I work as a water resource manager. So I help countries and governments plan how to use their water.
Really?
So I help them write policies and plans and management plans and design infrastructure and things like that.
So where do you do your work? Is it largely the developing world?
Yes, it's mostly the developing world, but it is the developing world. I've been working for the last two and a half years or something. I've been working as a consultant. So I get called in for specific projects when they need expertise, advice. So right now, the two things that I'm doing are this one bit of work in Southern Africa. So I'm based in South Africa, but working with 10 countries in Southern Africa, helping them design infrastructure that helps them cope with the non-existent mythology of this climate change business.
Okay.
And then another piece of work I do is in Laos PDR, working with 4 countries of the Lower Mekong River, which is Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos.
Right.
To help them figure out what happens to the river when they build a bunch of dams on the mainstream of the river. So I've designed a very comprehensive, large study for them, so that they can try to set up a system which would give them information as to how the construction of these big dams will have impacts on people, fish, flooding, etc., downstream of the river.
Wow.
That's kind of what I do right now. Those are the 2 main pieces of work I'm working on at this point.
So there's a considerable amount of computer modeling that's going on in terms of GPMs and water river flows and rainwater fall, that sort of thing?
I don't necessarily do the modeling, Shri. I'm not a modeler. I'm not a really, I don't get into the nitty-gritty. I design the whole study, and I put in the framework as to how the modeling and everything would be done to complement the results that I define as being needed for these guys to be able to make decisions.
So your customer base is effectively governments?
Pardon?
Your customer base, the people you're selling this to or talking to, are government representatives.
Mostly correct.
Secretaries of state, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Either the first stage or the second stage. So it'll be either a government coming in and asking me directly for some work, or
Right.
it will be the government giving the work to a consulting company,
Mhm.
and then I would work for the consulting company.
Nice.
Okay. What took you on this path, Chummy? Like, did you have to? I mean, It sounds like you probably had to do a lot more post, more technical college work, like postgraduate kind
Well,
of.
yeah, kind of. I did 2 masters after Knox.
Nice.
So I left. We graduated. I think Cameron. I think I graduated 1 or 2 years after you.
I think 1 year. I was 94.
Yeah, Shri was 2003, right?
No, 1993. But thank you. I look younger than. Thank you. No. Continue moving the date back. I love it.
It's hard to think. It's hard to think in the 90s now, huh?
Yes, man.
It's crazy. So yeah, Shri was 93. I was 94. Were you 95?
So I came back to Sri Lanka after that.
Okay.
And then I went back to the U.S. in 1999.
Okay.
And I did this master's degree at Brandeis.
Okay.
And I did a master's in international development. So it was about the policies of working in the context of international development.
Okay.
And then you want me this short story or the long story?
It's your party, man.
Yeah.
So I was in the U.S. in 1999. Then I went to South Africa in 2000, and then I went to from South Africa. I went to Washington D.C. Did some work there. Then to Bangkok. Then to back to Washington D.C. Then to Botswana, to Mozambique. And then I lived in Angola for 3 years. I worked with the United Nations in Angola. And then I came back to the US and I did another big master's degree at the Harvard Kennedy School. And then I went to Sweden for a year with also this thing called the Global Water Partnership. And then after that, I've been consulting, mostly based out of Colombo, Sri Lanka, but traveling a lot to South Africa and Laos.
Okay. Fantastic. Wow. He's a globe.
The man has been around. That's we're stuck in Illinois, for Christ's sake.
It's like you realize, like at some point, actually at one point I remember I had a whole bunch of crap in the U.S. I had a bunch of stuff sitting in storage in Sri Lanka, some stuff in Boston, and I was stuck in Sweden. So I had like scattered everywhere, and then I had a girlfriend in like somewhere else. So it was a complete mess.
Now, if you ended
trying to settle down.
Now, you've seen many corners of the world. If you could just like set stakes somewhere, like the best place that you've been, where would you go?
It's difficult. I mean, there's some very beautiful places I've been.
I know.
Cape Town is stunning. I mean, I lived in one of my first real overseas jobs was in Cape Town, and it's like one of the most stunning cities in the world. It's just
really.
Then my brother went to a wedding in Cape Town, and he said the same thing, that there is nothing that just even the starlight at night is just in and of itself something that everyone should see once. You know, it's that beautiful, and I'm jealous because I need to get out more. I have a fence, for God's sakes. I might as well get out more, but I don't. Family life has kept me very much tethered to home. rightly so, and it's exactly what I need.
You're so far away. US, it's difficult to get somewhere from the US. It really is. It's just a lot of time.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, just to get over either ocean takes half your trip. You know.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, for me to go from Colombo to South Africa, it's 6 hours, 7 hours.
Yeah.
And then your flights, it's like boom, boom, I'm done. You know, then I can go to Southeast Asia, it's same thing. I can go to Europe, it's not a big deal. But man, if I want to come to the US, it's like a schlep.
A trek. Yeah. It's a huge trek.
So.
And you know, unfortunately, it is. Fear has moved everything into almost a slower pace. For example, you had just one failure of a supersonic jet, and the whole thing gets shut down. Had we just moved past that, we'd be able to traverse the world in under a day. You know, in at least as much time it takes for me to get from Chicago to Bangalore. You know.
I mean, air travel hasn't changed much, I think, since the 60s and the 70s. It's kind of, if anything, it's gotten harder and a bit more cumbersome to go through air travel. We haven't really done anything major.
You know, and there was so much hope for the Concorde to sort of be that transition to faster travel internationally, and one accident, everything gets shut down. I think that was a little bit too. That was during a time period where everyone was reacting to safety almost over excessively.
I think also inertia. It's like inertia in any industry, Sri. I think if you have, when you have a new industry, and we have even this whole, the internet, the information technology industry, you had so much innovation at the beginning, right? And then you get inertia, you get everybody set in their ways, and you get people earning lots of money with the status quo. So the last thing you want to do is push it into any different direction. I think with air travel that happened, so many years ago, and the inertia is so huge that we don't see any innovation at this point.
Sure.
I mean, there's probably technologies for new aircrafts or whatever, but it's all the same way. And the only kind of innovation that you get is like the Boeing A380, which is just a big-ass airplane.
Sure. You just made it bigger and barely very fuel efficient. Perhaps fuel efficient for its size, maybe, but nothing industry shocking. While with the Concorde, it was actually using less. It was for its efficiency. It was using somewhat the same amount of fuel, but it was getting there faster. So you actually were saving money in the long run. And time. People would have bought into the time, and it would have dropped the price. Much like we want bigger LCD screens and televisions. Eventually.
Yeah, but they just switched the innovation to a more interesting in-flight snack. That was.
So you actually two choices of wine. And a much bigger screen, so you can kind of zone out onto the TV. I spend my time on planes, man. I'm telling you. I'll tell you one of the more interesting ones. I just flew a Dreamliner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did it catch on fire or anything? The electricity?
No. Looking out on the bloody, wings to see whether it starts smoking or anything. But the one cool thing,
damn you, Boeing!
The thing for me on the Dreamliner was the windows are huge.
Oh, sure.
And button, and it becomes darker and lighter. It's quite cool.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually set your own little mood lighting from the window.
Exactly.
Nice.
So you can sit there and press this button, and it goes into a greenish dark color, and then you hit it again, and it just slowly becomes clear, and you can say it's quite cool.
So let's get into something more serious. You are taking the plunge. You are finally becoming one of us. You are getting married.
Yes, I is.
That's awesome.
And explain. I mean, as with any two of your girlfriends, you know, like me and Cameron, we want to know every detail. We want to know, how did it start? When did you propose? Did you get on one knee? The whole thing.
What were you wearing?
What were you wearing? What was she wearing?
I wasn't wearing anything, just to let you know. You gotta do it.
Congratulations,
you know?
by the way.
And this is a lovely girl named Anna. She was my office mate in Sweden.
Sweden.
As inappropriate as that might be.
Man, you were the ladies' man back in college. Are you kidding?
It was
perfect.
No, it was funny. I show up for this job in Sweden, right? And I was before I did that job, I was working for the UN, and I was the boss of a big project. So I had my own office, and I had my own staff, and I used to kick people around and boss people around. And I went into this job in Sweden, which is your socialist mecca, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's equal. It's horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
So I get put in an office, and I'm like, this office is worthy of me, because it had like a little desk and a little meeting like thing in the front. I was like, perfect. I'm glad you guys know how important I am. Right? So that lasted for about 24 hours, and this lady came, this kind of the woman administration lady, came and said, Chaminda, there'll be an intern, and she'll be sitting on that desk. Like, wait. This is my office. What do you mean there'll be an intern sitting on that chair? It's like, no, this is not your office. This is a office. And it was empty when you walked in. So there'll be somebody sitting on that desk now. I was like, this is unacceptable. She's like, listen, just bear with it, and we'll see what we can do. But no, we don't give people offices. I was like, all right, whatever. So in came this beautiful woman and sat down. And I was like, I'm an egalitarian fellow.
I'm prepared to share, of course.
I don't discriminate and kick people out. It's okay.
Fantastic.
So,
how open-minded of you.
Exactly, right? I'm taking into the social contract of the Swedish system.
His politics shifted immediately. That's.
How do you on a more serious note, but stepping aside for that for a moment, comparing how the UN does business and perhaps the private firms you worked with in the interim versus how the Swedes do business. You see what I mean? The level of thinking in terms of problem solving, in terms of collaboration, in terms of just getting project from point 0 to point 100.
And just to let you know, Chemi, if there's any questions that are bordering on that are like problematic, then just decline.
Yeah, tell us to shut up.
And if we need to edit it later, we can do that too. But I don't know what level of danger your career has, with all of the different players and stuff. So
it's nothing sensitive.
Okay.
No, okay. I mean, that's a very, very interesting situation, because I am right now doing a consulting gig for a British-based firm called Adam Smith International.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys,
As in The Economist?
Yes. There was an Adam Smith Institute.
Sure.
And then there was a consulting arm of that institute, and that consulting arm is called Adam Smith International.
I see.
So recently I had a terms of reference with them, and we had to delay the delivery of one of the outputs that I was required to produce because we couldn't set up the right meetings to get what I needed to get. So I just wrote a note and saying, you know, I know that this one is due on the 30th, but I'll be able to only send it to you on the 15th or something.
Right.
And immediately this triggered a whole business of actually going into the original TOR, amending it, sending it for approval to about, you know, so it became, it was a pretty big deal that I wanted to delay this one output by 15 days.
Right.
So what I realized is that working with this private company, things are extremely structured.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And structured around the contract, structured around their negotiated contract with their client.
Exactly. So their contractor or their client is the British government, and British government has said you need to provide A, B, C, D. So when these guys are very, very clear on providing exactly what is being requested by the British government, which means that you don't really get much room for innovation, and you don't really get much room to follow a lead that you might think would be useful. But what you do get is very, very clear deliverables, right? Sure. And you can't fluff around. You have to basically say, here's what it is. Here's what we have to do.
You told me you provide this. This is what I provided.
Exactly. And if anything more, you're not paying me for that, and they're not going to pay me for it. For example, you know, I got some very good leads that I felt we could have followed, but to be able to follow that, you have to get a new TOR for you.
Right. Or you have to get an amendment on your original contract.
Exactly.
And time and material cost for it. Exactly.
Right. Whereas with the UN,
you're talking my language because I deal with government all day long, and that's exactly how we deal with things. You know.
Exactly.
While the Swedish thing was not necessarily as regimented.
The Swedish thing was a completely different story because there were two parts to that story. One part was the fact that it was based in Sweden. The other part was that it was actually working internationally. Okay. So the part about being based in Sweden was an education by itself.
Sure.
The Swedish work culture is what in the world are you drinking out of a test tube? You can't say.
It's like is that a Pinot? Is that a Pinot Shri?
Actually, it's a Chianti.
It's a Chianti.
Oh, it's just a Chianti. Okay.
The Italian
is a completely different thing now, because the Swedish work ethic is probably unique to where you've never seen it. People come in at 8 o'clock when work starts, and they will leave sharp at 5. And in the summer, they will take 2 months off, at least a month off, and you cannot contact them even if the roof comes down.
Wow.
But when they are working, they're extremely productive. So they're probably one of the most productive people in the world. But it's very cut and dry. It's like boom, boom, boom.
They protect their time.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So there's, you know, if you walk around the office at 7 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the evening, it would be only like a few international people who are sitting over their desks trying to finish something. All the Swedes have gone home. I mean, unless it's really serious, they are not going to stay longer and work. It's just the way they work. But when they work, it's just like cut and dry, they work.
How about the business owner or the guys who are really excited about the projects? Are there people who just love working and will do the time? Or if like they own the business and they want to see it flourish, they're gonna make sure.
From what I hear, even when they do that, they kind of make the separation between work and non-work.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think people. I mean, you got to realize Sweden is so. I mean, everything is paid for. They pay huge taxes, right?
Yeah.
They half of their salary on taxes.
They get a lot back for it.
But they get everything back for it. So
yeah, exactly.
They're open to experimenting with a lot of things because they don't fall on they don't fall on the wayside. There's always a social security net.
Yeah.
So they can go ahead and start, a crazy company here and see how it works. And if it doesn't work, they just abandon it and we'll go start something else. So if you're kind of an innovative person in Sweden, you can really experiment with a whole bunch of things and not like sacrifice your whole life for it, because you still have a life.
Now, you being a Sri Lankan expat, effectively in Sweden, is there a conditional difference between being a Swede and a visitor, or a Swede and a guest worker, a Swede and a naturalized citizen, if you will? Are there differences in opportunities, do you think?
I would say, I was in a very, very, very unique situation, Sri, because I work for an international organization. Right. So I was not, I didn't pay taxes, which is ridiculously rare in Sweden, where one doesn't pay taxes. Yeah. So I didn't pay taxes, but which also meant that I couldn't get any of the benefits. We had private medical insurance. Mm-hmm. If I had kids, they would go to a private school, which my company which my organization would have paid for. But we were not a part of the social system in Sweden because we were an international organization that had privileges and immunities.
Okay.
But if I migrated to Sweden and worked for a Swedish organization, then I think I would have been privy to pretty much the same benefits that people.
And you would have been taxed accordingly.
Yeah, I would have been taxed accordingly, and I think I would have been. From what I know, Sweden is pretty open to letting immigrants in, to some extent. I don't think they have a skills-based immigration policy like the U.S. or Australia. Sure. What Sweden does, I think, is it allows in a lot of refugees.
Yeah.
But it's systematized, so it's actually not like people coming in illegally, but it's like when you get a whole bunch of Iraqi refugees get sent there by the UN,
right?
Under an agreement with the Swedish government. I was actually in a flight once where my whole flight was full of immigrants coming, I think, from Iraq. So they've gone from Iraq to one of the neighboring countries, I can't remember which one, and as refugees, and they were all flown to Sweden by the UN. And when I landed in Sweden, I saw a person with like an IOM sign, International Organization of Migration sign, sitting there welcoming all of these people. And it was a crazy thing to see because it was in the middle of the Swedish winter. And some people were popping up in flip-flops.
Oh my gosh.
They were obviously coming from the Middle East.
Yeah.
So Sweden takes in a lot of these immigrants. And they're having some issues with that because the whole Swedish system works based on a very strict social contract.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And Sweden has been a pretty homogeneous society for the longest time, and now they're seeing these, immigration waves of immigration coming in. But based on that homogeneous Swedish society, people kind of agreed that one does not scam the welfare system, right?
Yeah.
That one pays taxes because one then gets benefits back when you're older.
Yeah.
But think about it, if you are a Iraqi migrant or you're a Sudanese migrant,
mm-hmm.
you're not really a part of that social contract because you're much more interested in saving as much money as possible and sending it to your grandfather or your father who is still stuck back in Sudan or Somalia. Okay. So you're not really that into that social contract. You're not really, keen on planning for your future in Sweden when you're much more interested in planning for your present extended family in Somalia. So the Swedes are seeing frays in their system with the influx of migrants, not because anybody's bad, but because the priorities are different.
That makes a lot of sense. I've never heard of that before. I mean, I figured that there were cultural clashes. I mean, I could see people coming from Sudan or from Iraq, like, not necessarily jiving with the system because of, you know, how you had to live in other places, you know, where you know, there is so much corruption and such. But your explanation actually makes a lot more sense. In this, I mean, I guess both kind of do, but like the fact that people would want to send money back home, of course, they do that in Mexico. Here, you know, U.S. to Mexico. I mean, that's not unusual at all. So,
right. I think there's both sides, right? But I think partly you get an idea of people not buying into the social contract.
yeah.
Just hold on a second, okay?
Sure.
Okay, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, yeah. It looks like Shri. Looks like Shri like vanished.
Hello,
I don't know if you, I think Shri's having technical difficulties or something. I don't know. So.
I thought I'm the one who's supposed to have technical difficulties. I'm in Sri Lanka.
So last time his computer kept frying and cutting out. I thought he had solved it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So when is the day? When are you tying the knot?
On the 1st.
On the 1st.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you doing it in Colombo, or are you going somewhere else?
No, in Colombo.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
do you have a ton of family coming?
Yeah, you know, my parents have extended families. My mother has 7 brothers and sisters or something, and so does my father. And all of them have kids, and even some of them have kids. So it's like uncles and all of the cousins and their children. It's quite hectic.
That's awesome.
So, but we're keeping it small at like maybe 150 or 200 or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Very cool. That's great news.
It's a bit hectic. I'll send you some pictures.
Are you gonna post them on Facebook?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure people will. I'm sure you'll get lots of. I'm not probably gonna go out and put it on Facebook, but I'm sure it'll get posted.
Okay. So, what do you think of the whole of the Facebook thing? Have you fully embraced it?
You know, I mean, you got to be practical about it. I think you got to be pragmatic about it. It connects people. I mean, dude, I wouldn't have found you and sent you a random email one day if you didn't pop up on Facebook.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. It's fantastic. I mean, you think about your graduation day, and you're kind of like, you're looking around, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to see most of these people ever again.
Exactly.
Like, goodbye, whatever. Have a great life,
And what, 10 years later, Facebook pops up, and then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, that's Cameron.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the greatest things that I've seen, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but it's like I run into, like, here in Chicago, there's a number of people from Knox,
right?
And I'll run into Scott Thompson in, like, the parking lot of the grocery store or something,
right?
And there isn't the long catching up. There isn't the uncomfortableness of, like, how much do I have to know and how much do we have to talk? It's like,
You kind of
hey,
know. You know he's had a kid.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. You're like, I saw the pictures. That's awesome. You know, you have a
We're talking about Sweden again, right?
No, no, we're talking about Facebook and
Yeah, forgive me. I am 1 more week closer to getting a new box.
Wait, okay. So your computer crapped out again?
Yeah, I'm using a laptop, or I was using the home laptop, and it overheats.
And what are you on the same computer again?
No, I'm now on an office computer, and I plugged in my webcam to that, and hopefully it doesn't overheat. It cools much better than the other one machine does.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm back in business, and I look a little different because of the lighting. The lighting.
You ran out of Chianti and you had to go run and open another bottle.
No, actually, and if I did,
are you going to drink it out of an alembic?
I would never. I would think about an iambic or a iambic at some point, just for experimental purposes only, I think.
Okay, wait. How do you keep that? Let me see the little thing. Do you actually have like a holder for a beaker?
It's got a tester rack, my son. I'm a scientist after all.
Just thinking of this lovely wine tasting possibility. You know, you get like all your beakers lined up, and then you put your different wines, and you put numbers, and then you can.
It's a scientist's flight of wine for science geeks. So
Guys, look at it. That's $1 million idea. You set up a little scientific beaker-based wine tasting kit.
I have no idea. It's at best a $20 idea because that's how much it costs for the.
You just have to make it a bit fancier for the the wine geeks, and then you'll be fine.
Perhaps if you etched each one of the test tubes or something, maybe.
Yeah, put like little numbers on it and then little cute signs on it.
Or you actually have test tube holders for each one so that they can sit like this. They have a little clip for them.
So you don't have to touch it.
Now we're getting a little. And so instead of touching the test tube, because you would warm, accidentally warm
like
a clip.
Little handle on it.
Right, like an old test tube clip from your chemistry class. So you can hold the test tube over a Bunsen burner. You do the same thing, but you sip it into
You can hold it if you want to smell it better. You want to get the proper aroma, so you can hold it over a Bunsen burner and go.
Okay.
The pepper aromas accentuated, and the vanilla.
I don't need to do that. I can hold it over my missus because she doesn't want me drinking tonight, so I can be in the doghouse as it stands, so it's all good. I've been a good boy.
We're talking about Facebook, so I know exactly. I know Shri has 2 kids.
Yeah.
Cameron, what's your family like?
Oh, I've got. Say what?
You have a girl.
I've got 2 daughters.
2 daughters. Right.
I've got a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old.
Yes. I think I mistake between the 2 sometimes.
Between what?
I think I see the pictures, and I think they're the same people sometimes, just one older and one younger picture.
Yeah, I could see that. It's funny because it's the situation where my friends see pictures of them and they're like, oh my God, it's a little Cameron, and then but my wife's friends see the same and they're like, oh, they look just like you. So they're a perfect mix of us. But I mean, if I think that they're significantly different. One is blue-eyed, and the other's brown-eyed. And some of them have one of them has more of the Irish nose from her mother, and the other one looks more French, it has more of my nose and stuff.
A muscle.
So what?
Like a muscle.
That's right. Le muscle. So I've got, and it's fun. I enjoy it. They're great.
Mine are more personality than looks necessarily.
Yeah, my kids have no personality. It's
in terms of similarities between my wife and myself, they have a nice blend of both of us, but at this stage in the game, they're very much enamored of my interests. And so when they know I'm going to a Dungeons and Dragons thing, they all want to know everything about how the day was and when do we get to play with you. And eventually I'm milking this for all it's worth, because in about maybe 3 years they're going to start calling me the village idiot, and they're going to start berating me for being so. Well, Dad, why do you like that?
That's already happening to me.
Oh, there? Yeah. Girls mature faster than boys.
So, I mean, my niece was like so. She when she was growing up, she was just so really interested in everything that we did, and she wanted to follow up and see what's happening, and was just always like really talking to us and finding out what we were doing. And I expected the same thing when she hit when she became a teenager. She'd be like, just leave me alone, like, I don't want to know anything about it. But she hasn't. I think she's like a proper South Asian nerd, and she hasn't really, she lives in England with my sister. My sister and her family live in England, and I think she's become a proper one of those South Asian teenagers growing up in the UK, where she still is very close to her family.
Sure. Well,
So
I honestly believe that it takes separation from the family unit and sort of dropping them into a college environment that really they start coming into their own. I know I did. I bloomed late.
Right.
High school, I was very much the dutiful student. The whole point was to get to college. And everything was part of the grand plan. Becoming a musician was just so I can see if I can add to my resume, and also maybe garner some scholarship,
Exactly.
because I was never much of an athlete, and so everything was part of a master plan. But once you got into college, once you got there, it's almost like I've gotten the first prize.
Right.
Now let's enjoy that prize for a bit.
Right.
And then you come into your own. Then you start coming into your own. Oh, wait a minute. They told me that just to keep me in line, not to. It didn't impart any new wisdom upon me. They just wanted me to shut up and get out of the way, and it took my time at Knox to be able to go. Oh, I can do all of this now. Ooh, let's try it. All of it at once.
Exactly.
I tried it all at once.
We tried it all at once. I think let's try all of it and a little bit more. Now, I mean, I really think about my time at Knox a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Uh-oh.
Did he just get
Frozen? Or he's either frozen or he's
been.
It's the perfect time for him to freeze.
I know, the NSA's like, he's gonna talk about Knox. we gotta put the kibosh on this.
The president of college is going, let's shut him off now. Steve Jones is going, we have to block this. I'm sorry. That's not right. That's not right.
Oh, here, yeah. I think he's coming back. He's
frozen on my screen.
Well, now I've got his. Oh, I clicked on it. That's why. I clicked on his picture, and so now he's like, I got his avatar up. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see if he comes by, or if he comes back. So, do you know how long we've been doing this?
Well, it's 10:52. We started at around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I kind of thought so.
So we've been about an hour, but that's up to him if he wants to continue. if we can get him back.
Maybe we should start doing the D20 questions soon.
Yeah, that reminds me. I better. That's me.
We lost each other for a while. 3?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You froze. You froze and dropped out of this.
I have to reconnect.
Okay, I'm back too.
Okay.
Okay, so you were saying your time at Knox, you were thinking about it recently.
Yes.
And that's where it dropped, just right there, like you were being censored, just like.
Beautiful. NSA caught up with you.
We can't go into details, all right?
Oh, dude, it happened again!
No way!
So,
he's coming back. He's.
Guys, I think there's a problem with the internet.
you're having internet troubles?
Yeah, it just quit. I don't know. Let's see. We can try.
I don't know if we should. Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if we should broach the subject again. This.
I think there's something wrong with that subject, right?
You're thinking about Knox.
Enjoyable time at Knox.
Cameron, do you happen to have a digital copy of the 20 questions?
No, I don't.
Okay, we're gonna have to make questions up then.
What? Where's your copy of the D20 questions?
Remember, my computer shut down. It's on a different hard drive.
Uh-oh.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get it all back. I wasn't prepared for it.
Oh, jeez. Like, I've been in communication with you, Shri, for like forever, and so like going back through all the messages, because I gave you that.
Hold on a minute. I think I might have a copy of it right now.
Didn't you have a hard copy?
Knox while you're there.
Oh, okay. So I guess we're gonna try this again.
You're gonna try one more time.
Oh, it cuts off. We're gonna go into freeze mode again. Remember?
What were you? So was Knox like? What was it about it? The people?
I mean, you gotta realize, I was saying I grew up in this little tiny town, right?
Uh-huh.
And I was really, really itching to explore the world,
Uh-huh.
to do everything I couldn't do. And I think if I went anywhere, like if I went to a school in the middle of New York City, or if I went to a school in in some big city somewhere, I think I would have crashed and burned.
Really? Okay.
And I think Knox, by the virtue of it being small, and by the virtue that Jonathan Goldberg Bell knew me by name, do you remember him? Being a student?
Uh-huh.
I think that's the only kind of nest I had to be able to be crazy but still not crash and burn.
Yeah, not go over the cliff.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see it. Yeah, Knox was a very safe place. I mean,
Yeah,
you could do some interesting things, academically or otherwise, and it would all be cool for the most part, and nothing too bad was going to happen. And I thought, yeah, you're right. So.
And we had our own thing, I mean, the house was heaven, right? I mean, it was a haven.
Yeah.
We could go there and be nutty and do what we wanted to do. And the professors, they're good people.
Uh-huh.
Who kind of let you go through the craziness. I mean, I went to Knox with a pretty big grant. And And throughout the craziness of Knox, and throughout the fact that I even got kicked out for a semester, I never lost that grant.
Huh. So, which semester was that happened? I can't.
I remember, I think 2004, something like that. I had to go to Carl Sandburg for a semester.
Huh.
How was Sandburg, by the way?
Yeah, I've been to Carl Sandburg and I've been to Harvard.
So Carl Sandburg a little tougher for you, a little bit.
A little more stringent. I vaguely remember that, Chummy. I vaguely do.
I did. I can't remember what I did in Carl Sandburg. It was a wake-up call.
If that was '94, that was my senior year. So
yeah, it would have been around there.
I was in my own head doing my honors project and stuff, but that's why, I kind of remember hearing about that, or maybe you telling me.
Yeah, and I took a bus, I think, to Carl Sandburg, and I think I did 2 classes. I can't remember what I did. I think I did like a psychology class, or I can't remember what I did now. Hold on a second.
But yeah, the credits continued for Knox. In other words, they were equal weight.
Pardon? Say that again.
It was equal weight for Knox. In other words, Knox took the credits from Carl Sandburg.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they did. So it actually worked out quite well. So I managed to transfer 3 or 4 credits from Carl Sandburg to Knox. I don't think the grades mattered. I think it didn't affect your GPA, but you got the credits.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
well, that's something. Hey, going back to Anna for a moment. So the wedding is next week.
On the 1st.
It's on the 1st, and the wedding is happening in Sweden?
No, in Colombo.
Okay, so her family's flying into Colombo.
Yes.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
So is it going to be a classic Sri Lankan wedding? Or you have a mixed...
We're pushing for a subdued Sri Lankan wedding.
Okay.
So...
so you're not coming in on an elephant or anything like that?
No elephants. No, none. So we're looking at like maybe 150 guests max.
Very nice.
Like now we have confirmed 148 or something.
Sure.
Which is quite small, as you know, for
as Indian weddings go, yes, or as
South Asian weddings
go.
So we've got only 150 people confirmed.
My wedding was 575.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I can imagine. My sister's was close to that.
But Cameron, you're surprised, but I'm the oldest of the clan. I'm the oldest of the oldest.
Right.
Mine was the very first wedding that our generation.
Oh, okay.
So it was a huge deal. That we were setting the bar for how the weddings are supposed to go.
Wait, yours was the first?
Mine was the first. My cousin got married 2 weeks later.
Okay.
And you got to realize, all of these people, it's a complete...
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have a diaspora going. When my parents lived in India, they lived in the United States more than they've lived in India. So they've created a whole subculture in and of themselves.
Right.
In some cases, because of where my father stands, around him, there is a subculture that's been created.
Right.
And you have to shout out to all the people that shouted out to you way back in.
Exactly.
First came to the US. Oh, are you kidding? We shouted out to dead people. Dead people showed up to my wedding.
I mean, this is like, Carmen, you'll have people show up and be like, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you since you
were a little baby,"
Oh no! Did he just freeze again?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so he's coming back on. So.
Sorry, guys. The internet keeps shutting off.
We're going to.
We're gonna expedite with the D20 questions.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So the way it goes.
Well, I did wrong. Just to let you know, there are proper.
Okay, so we have 2 dice. This is a number die right here that has 1 through 6. And then we've got another dice, which is a 20-sided dice.
Okay.
And so this first dice, I'm going to tell you, it's going to say you have a total of anywhere from 1 to 6 questions that we're going to ask you.
Right.
And then I'm going to roll this dice. We have 20 questions on a list, and I'm going to roll the dice, and we're going to pick those questions. See what I mean?
Sounds good.
We have a total of 3 questions to ask you.
Okay, perfect.
And so I'm going to ask question number 1. But first, let me.
And so you're supposed to spin the other dice to get.
Which question I will ask you. We have a list of 20 questions, of which I'm going to ask you one of them. So, question number 1. It's number 9. Number 9 is, I'm not going to ask that question.
You can't do that.
It's a dumb question. Okay.
He does this all the time. I tell him to rewrite it, but he's not, you know.
Okay, so, no, I'm not going to ask that question. What is the oldest object you have in your possession that you're responsible for, and tell us a story about it.
The oldest object that I kind of use.
That you have in your possession, or that you're responsible for, and tell us a story about it.
I have no idea.
A piece of antiquity, a piece of...
Oh, yes. I have a mask that I take around. It's a crazy looking thing. It's my Rastafarian dreadlock mask. Mask that I bought in like 1999 or something. And it's been to every single house that I have ever lived in. I've lived in quite a few little apartments and whatnot. And it's this crazy mask with these dreadlocks.
Where did you get it?
I got it in Cape Town or something. I think when I first went out there in '99, I got that. And everybody who sees it thinks it's the scariest thing on earth. But I love it. It's like my guardian. I have had it in every single house. I don't move into a house without putting that on the wall. Like it goes somewhere, and then it becomes my house.
Now, have you cleared this death mask with your bride to be?
I had no choice.
You understand that once you guys move in together, it's not your house.
No,
you get to live there, but it's her house.
It looked over me. I think it's looked over me the whole time. I think it's possessed, but it's looked over me the whole time, and it stays.
Okay. Yeah.
Question number 2. Ooh, 17. '17 is hold on. Let me see where my page just disappeared. 17 is if you were to live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why? And it was asked earlier, but you have to pin it down.
My latest has been that I want to live in Maputo, in Mozambique.
Oh, really?
And why?
Not only because of the Bob Dylan song. It's a lovely song. Bob Dylan has a song called Mozambique. But because Maputo is a beautiful city. It's right on the coast. Beautiful Indian Ocean. Great food. Great music. The most amazing jazz comes out of Mozambique. Really, really lovely place. And you can live a really comfortable life, I think. So that's been my kind of latest I want to live in place. But it keeps changing. sure it'll be
What is the
somewhere.
reason for the changes, if I may ask? In other words, what's the usual impetus as to why why your desire would change?
You know, you move to a new place and you go, wow, this is more fun than the other one. You know, I used to think Cape Town was it, and I wanted to live in Cape Town, but then I found Maputo to be a little bit more edgy, a little bit more interesting than Cape Town. Cape Town was physical beauty, but in terms of cultural and the other aspects, I found Maputo to be a little bit more interesting. So that's kind of how it shifts. But I wouldn't know, you know, I'm sure there'll be some other place at one point I'll think about.
Okay. We are now rolling for the third time. 12. Boxers or briefs, and why?
Boxers, man. Who the hell wears briefs? Really? I live in hot climates. You need clothes.
Things stick. Not right.
Steve, you know?
There are more. I think now there are more people who we've spoken to who have discovered the boxer briefs.
Yes, the hybrid things.
Yeah, the hybrid. Yeah.
I didn't even know what that is. Okay, well, it kind of provides both.
Well, it provides the longer leg, but the snugness still. So.
Ah, okay.
But you know, I can see your point about the hot climates. You know, you don't need the yeast farm and all that. You know. So.
I was showing you guys. I'm at home. I wear a sarong. My sarong. My goal in life is to maximize my sarong time.
I agree with you.
Is this the yoga pants of Sri Lanka?
No. A sarong in up in India, it's sometimes called the dhoti.
Right, the dhoti, exactly.
And all it is homespun cloth, about the size of a beach towel, maybe longer, in U.S. length, and it is light and thin, so that air can breathe out.
Exactly.
And much like the Scottish kilt, most men are free and clear underneath.
Right.
And many of the reasons why that nobody bothered me when I was wearing a skirt on the Knox campus. It looked absolutely natural.
That, can you see that?
Exactly right. Free and clear, baby.
Burmese version. This one is from Burma, brother.
When my father was in here about our age, he would walk around in a dhoti at home all the time.
Oh man, it's so my goal in life is to be able to work from home as a consultant so that I can wear this more often than not.
Okay, so do you go out and get the paper or the mail in that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, in Sri Lanka, I go to the grocery store in my sarong and flip-flop.
Okay. Okay.
If we had Walmart, there'd be like people of Walmart photographs of me walking around.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, another question that we've asked everybody that could be a totally different thing in your situation. Where are you in your house? Like, I'm in my attic. Shree's in his basement. These are like computer areas apparently. So where are you?
I'm in the living room.
Okay.
I see pictures of your family in the back.
Yeah.
So is this normally where your computer space is? The living room?
Not necessarily, because where I sit, the light is behind me. So I knew that if we had this conversation, you guys wouldn't see my face because the light would have been behind me.
Okay.
So I turned to the other side. I came to this place, to the living area where there's a lot more light coming in.
So when you're working on your computer, though, you're in your living room?
No, I usually go to another room.
Okay.
But darker. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and Cameron is in his now famous attic. It's his again, and in fact, Cameron is the best example of just teaching you as a new incoming husband, is that how important to understand that once you are husband, you are allowed to occupy the space, but the space is not yours. I'm just
Yep.
the man.
The
Man is at least 2/3 the breadwinner of his family, and he's stuck in his attic with his D&D books. Look at him.
I saw that. This little cave, right?
Yeah. I've got my collection behind me.
I see that. I see that.
And the only reason why I'm accorded any larger space is that I've got drums and music behind me, so I can't stick it in a closet anywhere. So
so you kind of have all of that, so you can claim space.
Exactly right. This is a large great room.
It's
Had I been a guitarist,
he doesn't play anything. He just wants a bigger room to hang out in.
Like, it's funny, my big drum set. It needs such a big space.
I purposely,
Not for that, he'd be like in a closet, in a broom closet somewhere.
no, I have a piano down here. I've got a marimba down here. I've got drums down here, so that I have a space that I can claim. But strangely enough, most of this space is claimed by my children. I used to be in a space that was unfurnished and it had all of the storage boxes, and that was considered my personal space. They wanted to bring a sofa down there so I can at least be a little comfortable. How kind.
Where do you live, Sri? Where
I live outside of Chicago. I live in Aurora, Illinois, which is about 50 miles outside of Chicago.
Yeah, I know Aurora.
But I take the train in. There's a CTA. There's a Metro suburban transit that takes me directly into the city. So I take the train to and from Chicago every day.
You had a blog that I remember you were writing. What happened to that? You finished.
Well, I had a blog. You mean?
He still writes it.
Observations on the train or something.
Yes, I still do it, but I do it a little bit less frequently now, and for no other reason that one, I'm actually taking a little bit of a hiatus. You know, I'm a little tired, and so I'll sleep on the train sometimes, or I'm reading, or doing something that I ought to be doing, like prepping for the day. But there are times where I'm to myself, and so I'll start looking around and effectively it's me being bored on the train, and so I'm using the right side of my brain to be more creative. And so I look at someone and go, oh, that person looks like James Bond. So I start writing that this person is actually a spy and has all sorts of gadgets on their person that could kill people around them, you know, and just do the law. If I presume that person is X, then what is X thinking? What is X doing? Why is X on the train? You know. And I usually do it via pop culture.
So he's done. He is done for the interview. He's out.
Friends.
And Sri still has wine. This is
not anymore.
Tragic.
This is the last of it.
This is
the last tube.
So that was pretty awesome. I loved the hell out of that.
It's because we're with our friends, and our friends are awesome.
I know, and he's.
See what I did there?
But I mean, I haven't talked to him in freaking forever. I mean,
20 years, man. He's been busy.
And he's been like all over the place. It's like, hearing everything that he's done, I was more surprised than I thought. You know, I didn't realize. Had no idea.
He's inspired me to find others that have been more adventurous in their thinking.
And in their sarong wearing.
And in this, and now, no, I got to wear sarong again. I'm done.
Okay, we'll check in on the sarong status on the next episode.
Absolutely.
We'll see how that's going.
I'll have to put one on. There's
Okay.
the challenge now.
Okay,
Mine
great.
is strong long enough to wrap around my gut.
Oh wait, he's coming back.
Okay, guys, the power went off.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what we're just wrapping up. We were just
Yep.
saying, I was just saying, it was awesome talking to you and seeing all that you've been doing. I mean, fuck, man, fuck.
We're lazy bastards compared to you. As well.
No, not really. It's just a different line of work, no?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but it was great hearing from you and catching up because like
Absolutely lovely talking to you guys.
you're
Seriously.
doing some really cool things.
And on behalf of me, Cameron, and all of our friends, man, good luck with you and Anna. Congratulations. That's
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Really
it's happy to see our friends happy. You know.
Thanks. Really appreciate it. I'm quite excited. But I'll come and see you guys in Chicago.
You know it. Doors open. You've got places to stay, places to go.
Well, I mean, if anything, and if nothing else, maybe at least for like homecoming next year or something, I'm planning on coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's his homecoming because.
Oh, at his homecoming.
Yeah, that's right. It's surprising you say that. And just a quick word. My wife has given me dispensation that I get to go to every homecoming now.
Awesome.
That's my break from work and the family. That's my like winter or my just before winter starts. My last
Right.
constitutional before I go. And I go to Galesburg. I go on a Thursday and come back on a Sunday every time.
Guys, let's do it. Maybe I'll come up and we'll go together.
We'll take the train. We'll go together. I don't even drive. I just go on the train and be done with it.
And I've taken the train a few times when I was there.
It's fantastic. And this year, Cameron is my date. He's going to because it's his 20th.
Yep.
So,
Right.
My
20th anniversary, our 20th get together is in. I graduated in '96.
In '96. Okay.
So mine will be in 2 years' time.
Okay.
But I plan to come to the US anyway. Come see you.
Very
All right,
cool.
guys.
All
Well,
right.
have a great one, and we will talk to you again soon.
Yeah, certainly.
Bye now.
Bye, guys.
God bless. Peace to you.